So I started to work on distracted driving, educating the team, and also on the issue, general broad area of distracted driving. So at the TZD program, what I am responsible, although I'm not part of the government, I'm a non-government member of the TZD coalition, but what I am now responsible for the last 3 years is teenage driving and distracted driving areas. There are a few dozen or so few areas that different individuals are involved in. I'm involved in that. 2007, the year we lost Shreya, we had 510 fatalities on the road in Minnesota. A few years later, 2012, because of the TZD program, things went down. 395, that's quite a drop. And then in 2015, something happened. We're still trying to figure out what happened. Jumped to 411. And now, in 2017, I see that preliminary data says that it's 358. So we kind of leveling out at around 350 area, but lot of it to be done, lot of opportunity to reduce that number from 350 to 0. In the latest cars, you see it's all touch tone. Some of the screens that we get are as big as an iPad. That's huge. There are hardly any knobs. You just keep pressing. So the moment you take your eye off the oar to press something, you have an opportunity for distraction. Cell phone is something that has contributed the most. I do agree. In fact, I can even show you with data. There is very strong data available that from year 2007, 2008 to 2016, a number that kept going up and up and up was what? The insurance companies claim, what they call the loss ratio. That kept going up. So you might ask me, what happened in 2007? Well, in 2007, iPhone was introduced. Now, I'm not saying that's a 100% one-to-one correspondence, but definitely it has a very, very big influence on distractions. I feel it's almost as bad alcohol is as bad as drugs and many other things that we do, which are not good for driving. Teenagers are our future drivers. Teenagers have many more years of driving in their future than I have. So it is very important that cell phone, which is very much a territory of teenagers, should be our focus, because cell phones and teenagers are becoming more like buddies. Not that we adults don't use it, but one, more number of years to go in their driving career, and then they are much more competent in using cell phones than many of the adults are. And so those are the things that I learned from the cell phone use, and we got to develop solutions, we got to develop interventions which are focused on that demographics. This is what I believe in. And if we are able to prove it among teenagers, I think we can always extrapolate it and replicate it to other age groups. About 3 years ago, I was approached by one of the probation officers in a court in Minnesota asking me if I was willing to mentor or work with a person who had killed, a person who had been charged and convicted, found guilty of killing someone else because of texting. And he was a teenager. The person that he killed was also a teenager. So they were going into the sentencing mode, and they wanted to find out whether I would be willing to work with this boy. And I said yes. So that was the start of a journey that was challenging for me as well as the kid that I was working with. His name is Michael. He had killed very high honor student, but made a poor decision and then killed someone who died, right on his driveway next to his house. Now, instead of asking this person to do a lot of Excel worksheets and do some cleaning, I said, no, I want to change his personality from a distracted driver to a distraction-free driver for life. So that advocacy that I have been working on, I wanted him to be part of it. So over 1 year, I worked with him for 1 full year. And then during that time, I had him talk with me as a team to different driver ed programs and other advocacy talks that I give. And sometimes I would just send him alone. Initially, he was very, very hesitant, but later on, he did it. And then towards the end, I had him write actually an apology note. An apology note I had him write an apology note to the parents of the boy he killed. His name was David. David's parents, and then apologized to them. It took me about 1.5 months to finalize that particular apology note, and I hand delivered it to the parents. Started to do some research on how the teenage brain works. And there's a neuroscientist out of England by the name Sarah J. Blakemore. She had done some work on negative influences of teens among their peers. Because she was creating a theory that how bad habits occur, how bad habits happen. So I said, why can't we flip it? And I said, all right, I'm going to use peer-to-peer influence that Sarah J. Blakemore is talking about, and flip it and turn it into a positive influence rather than a negative influence. I would like to compliment you for starting this project, for Screen Save program that you are developing. And it's so interesting that you're bringing in the learning from another area of very difficult stages in life that people have is addiction to alcohol and addiction to drugs. And some of the learning that you're getting is also applicable to distracted driving and screen use or cell phone use while driving. About 20 to 25% of all distractions that turn into fatalities are actually because of cell phone or something similar to that your mind was off the what we call cognitive distraction. Large number of crashes that occur can be tracked to cell phones, but there are other distractions that are occurring in a car too. And so we cannot solve all those problems because cell phone is at the top of that list. So that's why we believe that cell phone is the one that should be worrying about. 79% of the people are on the cell phone. I will share a story about a girl who was Snapchatting. And I give you that example because it was a teenager who was doing it. She was injured very badly, and the police and the ambulance people were taking her in a stretcher, moving her to the ambulance. On way to the ambulance, blood all over her, she sent another Snapchat. Oh, thank God I'm alive. What do you call this? What do you call this? This is about maybe 3-year-old story. And Snapchat at that time was not that popular. And now it is killing people all over the world. It is not worth that few seconds of distraction. The price that you pay for just picking up that telephone and killing someone is very high. That's what I feel. It's not worth that text, the effort that you put in that text. The girl who was driving was a teenager. My daughter was 19 years old, was a teenager. So I said, I think I need to focus on that demographics.